Finally, we can do this workshop. So, welcome to the defined phase. This will be 6 chapters. This is chapter 1. And don't worry about the succeeding chapters. Let's enjoy the workshop and let's learn Six Sigma. So, to start with, why is it yellow belt? So guys, in Six Sigma, at least there's the white belt, the yellow belt, the green belt, the black belt, and the master black belt. So normally the white and yellow belt, it's for them, it's a simplified Six Sigma workshop, because when they do their projects, definitely they will have a green belt who would be assisting them. So again, let's enjoy this workshop, etc. And there will be a bonus feature, which is the CEO mindset. I'd like to start with my own quote, wherein when somebody approaches you, especially someone who is of lower rank than you, you should be very approachable and find time to talk to that person. It will mean a lot for them, because as a leader, it's about caring. It's not about ourselves, but it's about other people, especially those who report to us. So you are a 24/7 leader. All right, remember that. So while we have approximately 8 to 9 slides here, and the first thing that maybe you would ask is for me to define what Six Sigma, what Lean is, right? So we will do something different, guys. I'd like you to relax. Probably let's get coffee, let's get water, so that while you are watching this, you have that mindset of learning. Free your mind from worries, from concerns, and try to focus. And I'll tell you, this will be very beneficial for you. You'll be able to identify root causes and solve problems. So you don't need to solve the problems of the world right now, but you can solve smaller problems. You can start with your own personal problems. Apply the techniques in analyzing and being agile in providing solutions. So those there are a lot of technical terms already there. And again, this will be a very simple workshop. Normally, when people attend workshop, usually 90% of the things that were discussed are totally forgotten. So here, let's focus on that 10% that we can remember. But we will not do any shortcut. This will be a complete DMAIC workshop, and this is chapter 1. All right, guys. So for now, we will not define Six Sigma. We will not define Lean, because I'd like you to formulate your own understanding, and I don't want to influence you as to how we should define Six Sigma or Lean. And trust me, it will come in easy, and you will gain that confidence after completing this workshop. All right. So let's take this case to start with, and let's call this exercise number 1. So you're looking at an org chart. So normally there's the manager, then there are supervisors reporting to a manager, right? And then below the supervisors are the staff level employees. So if you are in the BPO industry setting, so normally those are the agents. So the manager, the supervisors, or in some cases they are called frontline managers or team leaders. So they have agents below them. All right. And I'm sure you're very familiar with the roles, right? Like, for example, the manager is usually the person who is accountable for meeting the metrics, at least the service level, average handle time, call quality, the usual stuff, the usual suspects, right? And the supervisors are the people who are there every shift, inspiring, motivating, guiding the agents to be able for them to handle calls. And but before that, actually, the team leaders or supervisors are actually working behind the camera to ensure that there will be perfect attendance or minimal absences. So, and then the agents, of course, they are the superstars. They are the people who talk directly to the customers, to the callers. And sometimes, they are the people who carry a lot of stress because sometimes they would receive calls that are, as they call it, toxic. Maybe customers are irate, and sometimes there are a lot of updates, but the agents are being, for lack of a better word, forced to handle the call the quickest time possible without sacrificing quality. You can relate, right? So let's pause. Try to visualize the example. I just I just wish that you can answer, that I can answer directly some of the questions that you have in your mind. But nevertheless, based on my experience, I probably know what the questions would be, and I anticipated those, and I'll give you answers to those questions, even if you cannot physically ask them right now. All right. So so you have the org chart, you have the process. So let's now think of the people who are not seen on a daily basis. So I'm talking about the customers. I'm talking about the clients. So they are the clients who are probably based in the United States, in Australia, anywhere in the world. So they are our clients. And normally these are the vice presidents, the chief operating officer, chief information officer, etc. So for the benefit of our example exercise right now, let's say that our client is the chief operating officer, and let's say that our account is ABC Bank. All right, so our customers, the people who are calling us, are the direct customers of the bank. All right, so they are the people who are giving revenue to the bank. So these are very important people, and as vendors, BPO, call center, etc., we need to take care of our clients by taking care of their end customers, right? Because if we do not, maybe some of the customers will move out of that bank and go to another one. So that would be called customer churn, meaning customers are moving away because of things that they don't like about the services or products of the bank. And we are doing an important role because the customers are talking to us directly. We can make or break things. That's why we are the heroes, because we facilitate revenue for our clients. And of course, if you look at the org chart, the highest person there is the operations manager, right? But beyond that, there is the operations director, the vice president, etc. So normally they are the people behind the scene, and they are the people who are involved on the financial side. So they are the people who are managing the profit and loss statement, making sure that while we are serving the account, the clients, we are also benefiting that we optimize our profitability. So, and one of the measure that we can do is to avoid penalties, because sometimes there are certain metrics like service level, quality, name it. It really depends on the agreement with the client. They sometimes carry a penalty that, let's say, if we fail on service level for the particular month, we will pay the client or give back to the client a certain percentage, and that means loss for us, the call center, right? So we want to avoid that. So the operations directors, the vice presidents, those are the things that they are concerned about. Of course, they are also concerned about the people, because after all, we are a people industry. All right? So again, let's pause and let's try to reflect. And you can ask questions on the comment section, and I normally respond almost in real time because I value you. I don't want you to wait. All right? So let's pause for a few seconds, drink coffee, soda. I'm drinking water. By the way, how's your day? I hope you're having a great time. Right now, it's a Wednesday, and it's afternoon from where I am. So I hope you're having a great day. All right. So here's a scenario. Let's say in one of the quarterly business review, the client, which is the chief operating officer, told us that they are receiving feedback from their end customers about poor customer service. Obviously, the clients, being clients, will not be very specific. He or she will not tell us, will not show us statistics. All we will get from the person is what we call VOC, or voice of the customer. And every time we get an alarming feedback, we need to ensure that we take it seriously, and we need to close the loop. Meaning, we receive a bad feedback, we study it, and we provide feedback or comment to the client as to our action plan. And since this is a Six Sigma class, we will try to apply Six Sigma in solving that concern from the client. So, based on our analysis of the problem, we suspect that it is probably caused by service level. So I'm showing you right now a chart showing a downward trend of the service level. But of course, definitely, it is really very important, especially for the operations manager, to be very much aware of what's happening on the client side. Definitely, this operations manager probably have daily calls with the client, and they can verify to ensure that that voice of the customer, VOC, which is poor customer service, will be translated into a statistical problem. And that's the start of our Six Sigma journey. So let's say that after verification, and by the way, this verification is called CTQ, or critical to quality. let's say we have identified the culprit and it is service level. And lo and behold, based on our chart, it is trending downward. Definitely, when service level is going down, it means our callers are waiting a long time before their calls are answered. And that really is very annoying. And you will learn when we go to lean that waiting is a form of waste. It is a main cause, really, of customer dissatisfaction. For example, you are in a restaurant and you ordered hamburger and it's been like 30 minutes. Your order hasn't been served. What will you feel, right? So just think about that analogy when we talk about customer dissatisfaction. A good example likewise is you are in a public transport and you are in a hurry because you might be late for work, and traffic is so terrible that the jeepney or the taxi that you're in is hardly moving. So that's very annoying, right? You are the customer and it is wasting sorry, your time. I apologize, guys. So every form of or every instance wherein the customer is waiting is a cause for dissatisfaction. So you're learning little by little what lean is. So that's a preview of lean. When we go to lean, we will discuss those kinds of waste and how they impact the customers. All right. So there's a lot of numbers in this chart, but I just wanted you to take note of that, especially the R squared, because we will tackle that when we go to measure and analyze phases. So again, just to summarize, our problem is our service level, and it is trending downwards, and the clients are now concerned. So, I'm showing you a step-by-step guide as to what needs to happen in the define phase. All right? So, what is the practical problem here? So, the practical problem here is what the clients feel, which is poor customer service based on feedback from their end users, right? So, as I mentioned earlier, the operations manager needs to verify for us to be able to quantify the problem. So we were able to do that, and we now suspect it is service level that's causing the feedback of poor customer service. All right? So now what's the extent of the problem? So maybe the customers are waiting for 10 minutes. Maybe they're abandoning already after 5 minutes, and definitely we wasted the time of those customers, right? So really, we now need to specify what the problem is. So that's called statement of the problem. So we now form a team who will take a look at it. So as a yellow belt, you will be guided by a green belt who has more experience and who has done a lot of analytical approaches towards determining what the real root causes are. Because our goal is to determine what's causing the problem, right? Because once we know that, we will be able to provide solutions. So now, we put in the goal. So let's say our service level is trending downwards, especially the last 3 months. Based on our example, we are below 85. Then maybe we can have a goal of, number one, meeting 85% and being consistent about it, and at the same time for it to be trending maybe between 85 to 90%. That's very ideal for a service level metric. Alright, so that will be our goal. So after this project, our service level will be stable between 85% to 90%. And then we will measure by way of maybe getting feedback from the clients or doing our own survey so that we will know whether we were able to really solve the complaint of poor customer service. So we do a project charter. This, guys, this is like an agreement, or it is the constitution. It is what we need to do. So these are the contents. So you describe what the process is. So it is an inbound process. You are taking calls for the bank, for the customers of the bank, and answering their inquiries, or if there are complaints, making sure that we resolve them quickly. So we also have, again, of course, the problem statement. We have the project team. We have the stakeholders. Sometimes we do like a force field analysis wherein we sort of identify who are our allies on this project and who are the people who are giving us a lot of challenges, because after all, it is a people business, and definitely for every project there will be pros and cons. So the goal of the project owner is for him or her to balance everything so that there wouldn't be any obstacles towards the completion of the project. But of course, normally the operations director or the vice president act as project sponsor, project champion. These are the people who will help the project leader ensure that obstacles are taken care of. Alright, so the project charter definitely should contain what we call a RASCI. R stands for the responsible person, the person who will do the task. A is for the person accountable. Sometimes they call it that like to choke. And then there's the S, the support. So normally these are the Six Sigma practitioners, the quality team, workforce, etc. And then C, the people who are consulted. Maybe the clients can be there. And then I, these are the stakeholders to be informed. So lastly, for the define phase, for me, the most critical part is the creation of the problem statement, because this is our baseline, and without a well-written problem statement, a project will be delayed, because you don't know where you're going, you don't know where you started, and you don't know where you are going. So I'll pause there. I'd like you to read this example of a problem statement. All right? What do you think of the problem statement? So we will end the lesson for define here, and I hope I was able to simplify things at the yellow belt level. I hope you are not confused, and feel free to provide VOC, voice of the customer, feedback on the comment section. On chapter 2, which is the measure phase, we will review the define phase, and I will provide you a test for understanding. It will be fun, guys. So take that seriously so that you'll be able to ask questions. Do that in the comment section so that we will have like a collaboration. Consider me as your mentor. But before we end, I'd like to provide some tips on the CEO mindset. Because guys, I've been advocating the CEO mindset because this kind of mindset will help you in your day-to-day problems at work, in your business, and even your life. The CEO mindset is about taking responsibility. So for example, you have a financial problem. A CEO would handle that from a profit and loss statement point of view or the P&L. So if you are lacking in finances, maybe what a CEO will do is to look into opportunities to get additional revenue or opportunities to reduce cost. That way, your bottom line will improve. And again, the other thing that you can do is worry, which will not do you any good, right? But the more you practice the CEO mindset, the more you will attract opportunities. And one thing that you can add in your daily rigor is about having that mindset of being grateful, forgiving, having a forgiving heart, and a very energetic lifestyle by way of daily exercises. It doesn't have to be Olympic style exercises, but merely walking, running, smiling with people. It will clear your mind of garbages, which will allow you to be a better person. It will allow you to be happier, relaxed, and you will be able to think of ways and means to solve your problem. So here are some of the traits of a CEO. A CEO is about having a vision and being able to inspire people to follow that vision. So you can do that in life. So have that vision of abundance. Again, do the daily rigor about having a grateful heart, exercising, thankful, etc. Because that would make you a very charismatic person. And when that happens, people would like to talk to you. People would believe you. Hence, you can influence people and at the same time attract opportunities because people are talking to you. They want to talk to you. They want to employ you probably. They want to have a business with you, right? So one thing that a CEO does as well is being courageous. A CEO will not run away from challenges. So and a CEO is not easily defeated because he or she knows that those temporary failures are part and parcel of being successful one day. Because sometimes, as in chess, we have what's called the Queen's Gambit. Sometimes we need to sacrifice something for us to gain better control of the middle board, so to speak. Right? Sometimes we have to step back for us to be able to have a wider view and has a better understanding of the situation, right? Also, the CEO is a creative person, a calculated risk taker, and who would not run away from challenges. A good example is, let's say you're watching a basketball game and it's time for the last shot. Look, who's asking for the ball? Normally, it's the best player of the team, right? So that's how a CEO thinks as well. All right? And lastly, as I mentioned earlier, which is having a CEO mindset, is that A CEO looks at problems at the profit and loss statement level. So, every problem that's affecting your top line, your income, your revenue, is all about getting additional revenue streams or fixing your expenses so that your net bottom line uh, will be better than when you started. Because, again, as I mentioned, the other thing that you can do is worry, and worry will not do you any good. So have that CEO mindset, guys. Have that thankful heart. Be compassionate. Uh, but of course, it doesn't mean that you have to be weak in your decision making, right? Because a CEO will is very decisive to make things happen. So think about that and have a happy day wherever you are right now. Let's see each other in the measure face. God bless.